Hey folks, this is Dr. K with another web application tutorial in NetBeans. This time we're going to create some JSP files and a Java bean. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to create a new project. It's going to be in the Java web folder, we have web application. That's what we're going to choose. And we're going to name this one PersonInfo. Okay. We're going to use Glassfish, and we're not going to use any frameworks. Okay, so we have our starter file, index.html. And if we start up the project right away, we should get that page in our browser. And there it is. To do write content. That is actually not the page I want. I want to start with an index.jsp file. So I'm going to go ahead and create that. Call it index. And just click finish. And all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to delete the index.html. Okay, come on, let's delete that. Are you sure you want to delete this? Yes. Now let's go and see if without changing anything, I don't have a resource here, so let me reload this. And it actually does default to the index.jsp. As long as that index.html is not there, it will read the index.jsp. Okay, so replace the index.html with index.jsp, and now I want to create a Java bean. So I go into source package, source packages. I don't want that default package. It's not good practice to have a default package. You should always have a sensible package. I'm going to call mine person, and then inside there I'm just going to choose a regular Java class. Even though I'm creating a Java bean is just a specific kind of Java class. I'm going to call this person bean. Okay, and click finish. And I'm going to put two fields in here. One is going to be name, that is going to be a string, and the other is going to be a boolean, and I'm going to say living for that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm simply going to refactor this. Okay, and I'm going to use encapsulate fields. So I want both getters and setters for these fields, which is part of the requirements for a Java bean. You need getters and setters for all of your fields. The field's visibility is going to be private. The accessor's visibility is going to be public. I'm going to go ahead and refactor that now, and you see that it automatically made these fields private, which is exactly what I want. Now, one of the other requirements to have a Java bean is you have to have a no argument constructor. So I'm going to do that now. Person bean takes no arguments, and I'm going to initialize name to the empty string and living to true. Okay, I'm going to save that. Now, the last requirement of a Java bean is that you want it to implement the serializable interface, and that allows an object to be saved in a file. Okay, and then restored later on. So I'm going to say implements Java IO serializable. Okay, and you actually do not have to do anything for this, but a best practice if you're going to implement serializable is to make sure that you have a equals and hash code methods overridden. And to do that, I believe I can just choose insert code here. And actually, before I do that, I want to go down to the end because I want to insert this code at the end of the file. So I'm going to source, insert code, and I'm going to choose equals and hash code. And I want both of these fields to be involved in the equals and hash code methods. And I think that did it. That put them at the end of the file, excuse me. So that's exactly what I wanted. And guess what? I believe I am done with my person bean class. Okay, so remember I have two fields, one that is a string with the name name, and one that is a Boolean with the name living. Notice the accessors for name, get name, and set name, but because I have a Boolean for the second one, instead of get living, I say is living, or actually NetBeans automatically did that for me. I have an is living accessor and a set living setter method. Okay, so now that we have that person bean class, we're going to go back to the index.jsp. And when I did this palette popped up. If you don't have that palette, you should be able to just go to Windows, IDE Tools, and Palette, or you can just hit Control-Shift-8. Okay, I'm going to make use of that palette. I'm going to make this a page with a form on it. All right, so I'm going to call this person bean test, and I'm going to put the form in the body right here, and I'm just going to say something like entry form. Okay, I'm going to save that, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to HTML forms. I'm going to drag this form in here, and I'm going to call this, for the action, I want it to go to a file named response.jsp that we haven't created yet. Okay, but we will create that file. I'm going to give this form the name person test. I don't think it's really critical what name I give that. I'm going to call it person test. And I'm going to put two form items in here. I'm going to put a text input in there, and I'm going to give this the name name. And actually, this is kind of important because you want this name to be the same as the name field in person bean. Okay, so I'm just going to click OK on that. And then I'm going to drag this drop-down list. And again, this is important. You want this to be called living, which is the same as the field in your Java bean. We're going to have two options on this, basically dead or alive, that correspond to true or false. And so we should be able to just do that, but we have to tweak these options here because the user is not going to see anything if you just keep this stuff blank. So the first one, I'm going to put alive. And in this option tag, I'm going to give a value of true. Whoops. How did I get there? True if the user chooses alive. Okay, and here I'll give the value of false if the user chooses dead. Okay, and that value is going to go into the parameter living. All right, just like this text value, whatever text value is in this text field is going to go into the parameter name. All right, so this actually, let me just show you what this looks like because it's not quite ready for prime time yet. Maybe I'll make sure I saved it. Okay. And here you see entry form, and then there's the field, and then there's the drop down alive or dead. Yeah, we need a little bit more information than that. So above this field, I'm going to put enter a name. Okay, and above this selection box, I'm going to put just living and a question mark. Or actually, I'm just going to put choose an option. All right. And everything was on the same line. I don't want things on the same line, so I'm going to add some breaks here. And a break after that. And actually, I still have to put a button there. So basically a submit button. I'm just going to put a label OK. And there's the submit button right there. I'm going to keep that checked. And finish that. I'm going to save that. I don't think I need a break after that. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, it's kind of cramped up together there, but that's fine. Now if I enter a name, like I could just spell my name, Gregory alive, and just hit OK, it would say, it would give me a 404 error. Okay, not found. So look where it's trying to go. It's trying to go to response.jsp, and that file does not exist yet. This is a GET request. So the parameters are after the URL. Okay, you see name equals Gregory and living equals true, which is exactly what we want. But we have to create that. And I'm just going to reload that. We have to create that response JSP there. So we're going to do that now. Under web pages, we're going to create a new GSP, and this one is going to be called response. We're going to finish that, and there's what you get. And we're going to change the title of this page. We're just going to call it response page. And instead of hello world, we're actually going to put the name of whatever person you entered there in there. But before we do that, we have to get those parameters into the Java Bean in order to create a person bean object. Okay, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to create a space there, and we're going to go down to JSP. And first we're going to drag useBean, a useBean tag in there. We're going to give it the ID person. Okay, and that's how we're going to refer to it. And then it's asking for a class, and the class we want to use is person.personBean. And you can see as soon as I type that in, that class not found error went away. And notice I had to qualify that with the package name. And we're going to leave the scope as page, and then we're going to click OK. Okay, so that basically just sets up this mapping from ID person to that class personBean. And now I am going to set some properties. So, you know, you can do this all without using this palette, but I just want you to know it's there in case you decide to use it. All right, I'm just going to drag this setBean property over here, and the bean name is person. Okay, because that's the thing we have here. And notice that property name, the properties can be name or living, because it knows what that bean is. It knows the fields in that bean automatically. All right, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try to set this wildcard character and see what it gives me. I never tried to set it through one of these windows before. Okay, so it did kind of what I wanted to, but I'm not sure why that value is there. Because that wildcard, I'm going to take that out because I don't think that should be there. That wildcard basically means that whatever parameters you have, just put them in the bean. Okay, so if I have a name parameter and a living parameter, and both of those I should have, those will both go into their respective fields. And it's important that name and living be called the same in the bean and in these parameters over here that you set up in your form. Okay, so let's go back to response. Hopefully, we will see if this actually works. Hopefully this sets the properties correctly. Otherwise, I'd have to set them individually. All right. Now we can assume that these properties are set in the bean, and now we want to get the properties and display them here. So I'm going to put name, and then right here I'm going to put get bean property. Okay, I'm going to just drag this right there. And the bean name is not request, the bean name is person. And the property I want is name. I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to put a slightly smaller header here. And I'm going to put living question mark. And then I'm going to drag another get bean property here. And this bean is person. And instead of the name property, I'm going to choose the living property. Okay. Now, let's see if this all works. Okay, I've got my response page. It is called response.jsp. That's the one that's that's the page that the form goes to once you hit that submit button. So let's see if this all works. The entry form. So enter a name, Gregory, alive, choose OK. And look at that. Perfect. Okay. Name Gregory, living, true. Right. Just what we wanted it to do. Let's go back to the form. Let's clear it out by reloading it. And let's put about Abe Lincoln. And Abe Lincoln is deceased. We'll choose OK. Name Abe Lincoln, living, false. Okay. So, works great. We created a form in our index.jsp file. We created a person bean, and we filled out, we set this up so that when we filled out the form, the parameters, the values and the parameters from the form went right into the person bean, and we were also able to get those values and print them out on a web page. Okay, that's it for this tutorial. I will see you in the next one.